Hello everyone, it's your girl Vimbo. I am back with another Teacher Talk Sunday, and as you can tell by the title of this video, I have got some special advice for my educator friends out there, so stay tuned. Hello again, my name is Vimbo, and I will say, consider myself an educator. Once an educator, always an educator, but I'm not currently working in education. I was a teacher for many years. I was a school principal for 5 years. I feel like I've had a whole nother career, like lived a whole life and everything. But now I get to make fun videos with the advice and the things I learned in my life as an educator, even leading a school through the pandemic, all of that good stuff. And so 'tis the season for really hopefully good, helpful advice to any educator, whether you celebrate Christmas or not. I just think today's video is going to be very important for you. So let's jump right in. This is the holiday season if you're watching this video in real time. And I think as educators, there is often a temptation to make up for lost time on your break time. So what I mean is, if you are a teacher in the United States, you typically have maybe a fall break if you're lucky. You might have a couple days or a week off for Thanksgiving, and you might have a couple weeks off for Christmas or winter holiday, as most schools describe it now. And then you'll have like a spring break. And like I said, this is just the typical school schedule in the United States for public and private schools, K through 12. In the summer, you will likely have off 2 to 3 months where you're not actually teaching. So you might have like May, June, and July off if you're in the southernmost states, which I've experienced, or you might just have July, August, and some of September off. So that schedule kind of depends on what climate you're living in usually. But whatever the case is, whenever we come to breaks, as you're probably coming to now, you know, if you're, like I said, if you're watching this in real time, you're probably in your last week of teaching before the winter break holiday. And if you're like I was, you are probably asking yourself, what can I get done in my 1.5 or 2 weeks or 2.5 weeks off if your district is generous, time off? And what I want to implore you is, my number one piece of advice, this is for first year students or 10th year student or first year teachers or 10th year teachers or whatever year you are in your journey as an educator. I implore you, my number one piece of advice, do not take work home. Some really great advice I got when I was in my student teaching, which was years ago now, probably 13 years ago when I was a student teacher, 12 or 13 years ago. My mentor teacher told me, never take stuff home over the weekend and never, ever, ever take stuff home over a holiday. And I can attest, there's never a holiday in my almost decade working in schools that I took things home over a long break and actually accomplished things at home more than I would have just coming in early or staying late at work. And so please hear me when I say, don't take work home. I know it's tempting. I know it is, but don't take work home. Here are some things I have to advise instead. So in order for you, I mean, there are many ways to accomplish enjoyment over break, but I'm just gonna share with you what has worked for me in the past. So these are 3 things I recommend to maximize or just enjoy your break as fully as you can. And not everything needs to be maximized, but just some tips for you actually having a restful winter holiday break or any break whenever you're watching this video. So my number 1 tip is, to the extent that it doesn't make you stay super late every single night this week or, you know, right before the break, try to plan at least your first day back. before you leave. Now, if your school or your school district requires you to submit weekly lesson plans, then perhaps you are submitting your first week back and you have that kind of planned out. I know it could be a little bit daunting because you're like, oh, now is December and we're going back in January, and what will we be doing in January? And this is where you pull out your annual plans, you pull out your pacing guide, you just see whatever the next chapter is. And truly, your first week back in January, your students are likely to have forgotten some things. You're probably, like a lot of the schools I worked at, our semesters and our quarters lined up with our breaks. And so December would be the ending of a quarter, and then January would be the beginning of a new quarter. Even if that isn't the case and your new quarter starts closer to the end of January, I would still highly recommend doing assessments when you come back and kind of easing back into learning, because students, just like us, need a transition period. And so I wouldn't really recommend just jumping right back into heavy content your first week back anyway. So my number one tip to make your break better is before you go into break, so that your brain can just know, I don't even have to touch anything before Monday when I get back, or Tuesday, or whatever day you're getting back to school. Just try to have at least one day, if you're not required to submit anything, or that week. And as generic, like, let yourself off the hook. Maybe plan, if you're a big planner, plan the first day like really detailed, because you really don't want to go in blind. But don't put that pressure on you to have a perfect week's plan. Just do enough so that you don't have to think about it or get supplies when you come, like the Sunday before you're getting back to school. Because you've probably heard the term, I've talked about it before, the Monday scaries. Your Monday scaries might be really big after breaks, because you've just felt so refreshed, and then you might be feeling a little bit of dread of, oh my gosh, I'm going back into the grind, if that's your experience. And so that's just one way to help the Monday scaries be a little less scary when you're coming back from break. So my number one tip, plan out your week that you're coming back, or plan out at least your first day that you're coming back before you go on break. And as I said, I think the cardinal basis of all of this, like the cardinal rule, is try not to take anything with you on break. Like, let break be break. So my second tip is really, truly, as much as possible, try to disconnect. What that looks like for me, try to disconnect from work. What that looks like for me is, whether I was working in education or other jobs, I would remove my work email from my phone. So even if I still have the Gmail app, so I can have my personal email. So if I go to like a store in the mall, I can pull up a coupon for my email. I try to delete my work emails when I'm on a break. And I know that's harder for some than others, but really, truly try to disconnect from your work so that you can connect to your loved ones and to what's happening over the holidays, and connecting with people you love, whether it's family, friends, people in your neighborhood, any community or clubs you're a part of. Just try to disconnect, because if you're staying connected to work, you're not really resting, and you really need to rest. Like, we all need rest. We are human. We cannot keep going. We have to, at some point, give it a break. My third and final tip, as you're going through hopefully what turns out to be a restful holiday vacation, is, and this might sound a little bit silly, but I think it's a really important tip. I would say no as much as possible. What do I mean by that? So I read a book a while ago called The Best Yes by Lisa TerKeurst. It's a really incredible book. And in the book, she talks about how every single thing that we say yes to means that we're saying no to other things. And so if you're an educator, give yourself a pat on the back, because you do a lot of really hard things every single day. If you're a K-12 educator, that means you teach kindergarten or grades 1 through 12. In the United States, it's a hard time to be an educator, no matter what your setting is. And so you have done a lot. And so it's okay if this is not the year that you want to travel for the holidays. It's okay if this is not the year that you want to host people for the holidays. It's okay if you don't commit to all of these extracurricular activities if they don't fill you up. Now, if singing in a church choir and doing a Christmas program with your local community theater or whatever the case is, or baking cookies for your neighbors, which I'm getting ready to do in the next week or so, if that fills your cup, do it. Like, that is amazing and fantastic, and more power to you. But if those things drain you, cut them out and just say no. It's so hard for us as, like, I say educators, because I still consider myself an educator, but it's so hard for us to just be, right? Like, we want to, because we have so many skill sets, we want to be the people leading things. But I think it's okay, and our body often is telling us, yeah, just don't always push yourself to, I don't know, just always be creating. Give your brain, your body, your emotions a rest. And in saying no, which I found a lot lately, in me being ruthless about my no's and being very intentional about my yeses, I've created a lot of space in my day to be able to say yes to spontaneous things. And so whether that's going ice skating with a friend or going on a walk around your neighborhood, if the weather's nice enough where you live, by saying no and not overcommitting in the time where you should just relax. You can wake up one day on Christmas break and call a friend and say, hey, you want to go get your nails done together? Because I need to get holiday nails done soon, or whatever the case is. But then you're not so burdened with the task of constantly still being on call, which, because it's in our nature, we just are so used to a busy lifestyle. Your nervous system needs time to reset. Your body needs time to reset. And hopefully that habit of saying no through break can potentially spill back into your regular life. And then even when you return to school, you can decide, what are the things that I might need to cut out so that I'm not always living for the next weekend or the next school holiday, but I'm actually living a more rested life from week to week. And it's not always achievable, and sometimes there are busier seasons, but by doing this even on break, I think it can help you possibly implement those boundaries in your daily life. So, dear teacher friends, this is hopefully a little bit of a love letter to you. I am proud of you. If you're watching this video, keep on going. And I would love to know below what you do over Christmas break. So comment below, what do you do to make the Christmas break or the winter break or whatever your school calls it restful? This is random, unrelated to anything I have said, but this was from the Dollar Tree. I bought a ton. I didn't buy a ton, I bought 3 of them. I bought one in red and one in blue, and I have one in gold already downstairs, but I bought one with bells on it in the other room. I'm not sure it's worth it yet, but if you want to be festive, go to the Dollar Tree first, because you only wear these things like once a year, right? That being said, I hope that you guys have a wonderful week. If this is your last week before break, you're gonna make it. I believe in you. And as always, I hope this video sprinkled a little bit of sunshine and sparkles into your week. And in that case, if it has, whether it has or not, I hope that you go on and sprinkle a little bit of sunshine in someone else's week. I'll see you again next time. Bye now.